Now we're discussing a condenser. Okay. Now this is just a solid steel pipe designed to get rid of the heat. Okay. They cannot and they don't give much problems. I think once every 5 years I get a block in a condenser. And then once every 7 years I maybe get a condenser that's leaking. In other words, they're not infallible, but very rare. I mean, 5 years before you get a block, a lot of fridges you push up. And so you don't really have problems. What you do have problems is when the customer takes a fridge and pushes it against the wall. Okay, so you push it against the wall, now your condenser can't get rid of the heat. Which means that your pressure builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up and finally pop the compressor. Okay, so it must get rid of its heat. The modern, what we call side-by-sides, two-door fridges, we'll deal with them tomorrow. The modern side-by-sides, okay, have taken and they put the condenser in, tucked it in under it by the compressor. Real crap idea, eh? Not a good idea. I mean, it's also one of these things that's not designed. What do you say, not designed for South Africa, just shocking design. Because what happens is, they put the compressor there and they put a little fan to draw off the heat. And the fan normally blows the heat over the compressor to keep the compressor warm. And it sounds theoretically a good idea. Except that the housewives are always vacuuming and sweeping and polishing the floors, etc., etc., and that dust gets into the condenser. Okay, and the fan can't put it off. So you have this build-up of rubbish on your condenser to finally your condenser gets blocked. Okay, and then you have the heat build up in your compressor. Or your fan backs up, which is not often. Your fan doesn't often back up there. They do back up. Your fan backs up and you don't draw the heat. You do your compressor. Yeah. Everything based on tucking the condenser away down there from the compressor. Real shit idea. You know? They've got this cover that they put on. Because it looks quite nice. You've got the side by side there, you turn the fridge on its back and you don't see the condenser and you just see this pretty little cover at the back there. Okay? But that cover's got those little slots in. So they push the slots against the wall, you know, or the fridge against the wall. You know, all those slots block up. Crazy. We're getting big time on the new fridges that they're coming into the workshop. Block condensers, failed compressors, whatever the case might be, because of that. Then when you say to the customer, look, I recommend that you don't put that cover back. Leave that cover off and leave your condenser work. Or throw out the condenser and put a proper condenser on the back to get the wall, to get the heat out. So there are condensers that are starting to develop problems now. Okay. Normally, if you come to a fridge and you've got a condensing problem, in other words, an overheating problem, okay, you find the customer pushing against the wall. Okay, put a tennis ball or something there so the customer can't push it against the wall. What also happens with condensers, especially in the locations, okay, is the customer gets a guy in, okay, and says, I want a kitchen unit built. And the guy quotes him, and he pays the guy, and he gets this beautiful kitchen unit built. But, like I said about refrigeration, those guys are not trained properly. They've learned from a guy, they've learned from a guy, they've learned from a guy. And they build the fridge into the kitchen unit. Some of them will even take the kitchen unit doors and put it on so you actually can't see the fridge. When you open the door and you're actually opening the fridge doors. Looks all very fine, well, but the guy has forgotten that the heat must get away from the fridge. But they built the bloody thing in and the heat can't get away. Okay. When you're building a kitchen unit, make sure at the back that there's an air breather hole there. And that air can go out, not into another cupboard. This is a dryer. This is a dryer. There you see it there. Okay, what we use to connect the condenser up to the capillary tube. You see there the capillary tube there. Okay, domestic. Okay, that takes me a week to bring you up to speed on domestic refrigeration. Okay, here is our domestic unit. This is what is on any household fridge. This is your compressor. Okay, we're going to explain, we're going to teach you about the compressor. This is the unit that goes on the back of the fridge. We call this a condenser. Okay, we will go through it. This is the inside cold plate. What we call, the correct name is evaporator. It's called a cold plate. It's the item that gets cold inside, generates your heat. We will be going through this. The second week is going to be commercial. Okay, here is a commercial unit. Okay, these commercial units is what you see in all the supermarkets, in all the factories, the bigger units. It's the fridges, the freezers, the wall freezers, all of that. That is all commercial refrigeration. Similar system, but different concepts. Okay, here's the compressor. This one is a very, very old compressor, but these used to be the king of the compressors in the day. Okay, here again is the condenser. Okay, here we have a receiver tank. Here's the dryer, and over here is the evaporator. It's normally got a fan here that will draw your cold away. Here we teach you how to pump down, how to gas up, how to repair, how not to waste gas, how to do things properly. All the students want to do air conditioning. That being said, air conditioning module is right at the end of the commercial. And it's just an entertaining talk because you know already what it is. It's just telling you the ins and outs and the bewares and all the rest of it. Once you've done the commercial, you can do virtually anything. Back to our courses, refrigeration school. The first week, domestic. Second week, commercial. You can do the domestic course without doing the commercial. You can actually make a good living doing domestic fridges. You can make a good income any which way you want doing domestic fridges. But either one of these courses, you need the tools, etc. to do it. We prefer that you bring your own tools. Okay? It makes no sense to do a refrigeration school training course and not have the tools and not have the ability to go out and start earning money, start fixing fridges. If you can't afford it, because believe me, tools are expensive. Okay? If you can't afford it, we will hire you tools out. If you want to come on the course and get tools later, also not a problem. You can get them hired out to you.